right, welcome to Mod 1 Lesson 9. Now we're going to be getting out of rounding at this point, and we're going to start adding decimals, okay? And we're going to be doing them pictorially. Now, if you notice, our next thing, as far as the table of contents, mine is on page 32, yours would be different, and it says adding decimals. Now, our standards is MAFS 5 MBT 27. And if you notice, I say see objective sheet. When you come back on Tuesday, I'm going to have an objective sheet you'll be able to glue in the front of your book. And as long as you write the number up there, MAFS 5 MBT 27, you'll be able to refer back to that and not have to write this down. If you don't do that, then you'll have to write out, add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals to the hundredths using concrete models and drawings, and strategies based on place value, relate to the strategy to a written method, and explain the reasoning used. It's a lot easier just to write down the MAFS 5 MBT 27, see objective sheet. I would do that. Now the lesson objective. Now the standard is all the stuff that you're expected to master for the standard. Now the lesson objective is a skill that you're expected to master for this lesson. And for this lesson, it says we're going to add decimals using place value strategies and relate those strategies to a written method. So we're going to use pictures, but we're ultimately going to be heading toward actually just using the abstract, which is known as numbers. The next thing is the essential question. How can I use strategies based on place value to add decimals and relate the strategies to a written method? Okay, well, let's get started. Now, before I even get started, remember, you only have to copy 2 of these. I would possibly go through the video and find the 2 that you think are best for you and copy those 2, because there's going to be a little difference on some as we go. All right? All right. Now, first thing I'm going to do here is I'm looking at my numbers. This is 2/10 plus 6/10. So first off, I'm coming over to my tenths place. And I'm going to put 2/10 in there. Now, I'm going to add 6/10 to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I can see by adding up all of them, I end up with 8/10. And I would write that as 0.8, or which also equals 8/10. If you notice, we use dots, placeholders, in order to sit there and add it up. Let's try another one. This one, it says I have 2 ones, so I'm going to go ahead and put 2 ones in there. There's 1 1 and 2 ones, 3 thousandths. It says 3,000, so I'm coming to thousands, so I'm going to put 3 of them in there. Now I'm going to change color so I can keep track of the 2 different numbers. The second one is 6 ones, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 thousandths. So when I add these dots up, I can see here I have 4 thousandths. I have nothing in the hundredths. I have nothing in the tenths. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ones. So that's standard form right there, or I'd say 8 ones, 4 thousandths in unit form. So there's standard and unit form. The next one, we're going to go with 2/10. So I'm looking for my tenths place, and I'm going to put 2/10 in there. And 5 thousandths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to add 6 hundredths to that. So we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we know that our answer, we add that up, is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thousandths. And we know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hundredths. And 1 2/10. And we have nothing in the zeros place. So in standard form, 265 thousandths. Notice how I said that. I read it as a whole number, 265. Then I read the place value, thousandths. And if I wrote that in unit form, 265 thousandths. Remember, THS means decimal. Thousand means on the left side of the 1. All right. Now you notice this time we have a unit form and we have a standard form. But using the place value chart, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to put 1 1 and 8 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I'm now going to put 13 tenths. Well, if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tenths. Now, when I add these up, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I have 21 tenths, 1, 1. Now, can I put 2 of them in one place value? No. So what happened here is we have 10 tenths right here, which equals 1 whole. We have another 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tenths, which equals another whole. So in all actuality, we end up with 3 wholes, 1 tenth. Now let's see what happens if we were to line this up our place value chart, okay? And do this with a standard algorithm. And here's my ones place, my tenths place, my 100ths place. And I don't need to go any further because that's where we're at. And I know my decimal's right here. So I'm going to write this in as 1 and 8 tenths. The other one's 13 tenths, but I know that'd be 1 and 3 tenths because reading it as 13 tenths. Now when I add these up, I get 8 and 3 is 11. Carry our 1 and 1, 2, 3. So see, we got 3 and 1 tenths. Exact same thing we did when we did the dots. Okay, so let's try this one. Now this one says we have 100 800ths. So if I come over here and say I have 100 800ths, that would be 100 800ths. Now, knowing we cannot have 3 digits in one place value, I know the 8 would be here, the 0 would have to move to here, and the 1 would be here. Now, our second number is 2 1s 400ths. So I'd end up with 2 1s 400ths. Now, we didn't say anything, but we know there's 0 tenths, and we're going to put that placeholder in there. Now, we add them up. 8 and 4 is equal to 12. But we can't put 12 in one place value, so we have the 2 and we have to regroup the 10. And that ends up being 1 and 3. So we end up with, which equals 312 hundredths. 800ths right here. Now I know that on place value I'm going to have 1 digit. So I'm going to put the 8 here. That means the 0 is going to have to move here and it'll be the 1 here. And when I read this, it would be 108 hundredths. Okay. Now the second one says 7 1s, and I'm going to 7 1s, 13 thousandths. So if I were to put 13 thousandths here, I can see the 1 would end up having to come over here because only 1 digit in each place value. So it'll be 13 thousandths. Now we're going to add these up. The first thing I'm going to do is fill in placeholders to make them even the same. I can't leave this tenths empty, so I'm going to put a 0 there. And I could, but I don't want to leave this thousandths empty on top either. So now we can add them up. So we can see when we add 0 plus 3, we got 3 thousandths. 8 and 1 is 9 hundredths. We have 0 tenths and 8 ones. So we have 8 and 93 thousandths. Okay, so At this point, we can see we have 74 hundredths. And I think by now you're seeing that the 74 hundredths would be like this, and you read it as 74 in the hundredths place. Now the next one is going to be 59 hundredths. So I go 59 hundredths. Now we're going to add these up. I know 4 and 9 is 13. I carry my 1. 7 and 5 is 12, and 1 is 13. And I have to carry my 1 to the next place value. So we end up with 1 and 33 hundredths. Okay, so this one we have 7 ones, 0 tenths, 4 hundredths, 8 thousandths. In the second one we have 5 ones, 1 tenth, 9 hundredths, 6 thousandths. Now if we add these up, that'd be 14, carry our 1. We have 10, 14, regroup our 1 over here. We have 2 with our decimal point, and we have 12, and we have to regroup a 1 to the next place value. So our answer would end up being 12 and 244 thousandths. Now the key to these is putting the decimals in the right place values. And then after that, it's just like adding whole numbers. Okay, our next one, 7 and 44 hundredths. So I'm putting a 7 in the ones place, 44 hundredths. The second one, I have 7 in the tenths, 7 in the hundredths, 4 in the thousandths. Now once again, I don't have to, but I like making both numbers exactly the same because it helps us a lot when we get to subtraction of decimals. Now when I add them up, 0 and 4 is 4. 7 and 4 would be 11, but I know I can't do that. So I end up with 1, and I have to regroup a 10. Now we have 11, 12 here, which we know we can't do that, so we get the 2 and regroup the 1. And we have 8. So we end up with 8 and 214 thousandths. Okay, I hope you watched this video to the end and you picked out the 2 models that you wanted to copy at a minimum. There was a lot of models in there, and you're not meant to copy every model, but you just want 2 good examples so that you have it in your notebook for reference. Okay? All right, have a safe weekend, and I'll see you back on Tuesday.